Talktainment Radio Worldwide Sound. Talktainmentradio.com. We give you a reason to come. The world's greatest radio. We give you a reason to stay. Radio, the way it should be heard. You got the power.
The views and opinions expressed are those of the host and guest and not necessarily those of TalkTainmentRadio.com, the management, the staff, or K&E World Network, LLC.
This is the Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller, heard exclusively on TalkTainmentRadio.com, the world's greatest radio. Radio, the way it should be heard. And now, Mr. Neely Fuller.
If you do not understand white supremacy, which is racism, what it is and how it works, everything else that you understand will only confuse you. Only confuse you. Only confuse you.
Good morning and welcome to TalkTainmentRadio.com, the world's greatest radio, when you are in touch with the Compensatory Concept. I am your co-host, Mr. Bobby, and this is radio the way it should be heard. Live on the line, we have Mr. Neely Fuller, Jr., the author of the United Independent Compensatory Code System Concept, a textbook workbook for thought, speech, and or action for victims of racism, which is white supremacy. And this is what we will be discussing, and Mr. Fuller will be happy to address your questions or concerns in this particular hour. Now, if you would like to get in contact with the show, you may do so by calling 1-877-932-9766. When you do, please go ahead and make your questions concise so that we may get you on, and that Mr. Fuller can fully address your questions. And also, you can Gmail me at 7mrbobby@gmail.com. Now, I probably won't get to your question this week, for we are simply just backed up with questions. So we have a lull in the show, no question about it. We will get to those Gmails, quite a few Gmails. And we have Gmails from people all around the world. Now, if you want to get a copy of this book, and I strongly suggest that you get a copy of this book. You need a copy of this book, the United Independent Compensatory Code System Concept, to understand what you must do in your struggle or fight for justice. And Mr. Fuller breaks it down. There is a word guide that goes along with the book for an additional fee, and you can get this by going to producejustice.com. That is producejustice.com. And there you will find the information that you need to get this book. Now, don't just listen. Go out, get online, and get this. You need this, especially in light of all the things that have been happening and been going on. You need to understand this. And Mr. Fuller breaks it down for you. And these are his views. These are his opinions. And what he has put careful thought into. And you need to understand it. You need to understand words and what you need to do and understand. I think that's about all. We haven't had any information on or at least that has come across my desk on the next hour of the compensatory concept. And I guess if that happens or when it happens, we will let you know. Some people have asked about that, and so far nothing on that front. But one thing for sure, Mr. Fuller does not, and let me repeat that, Mr. Fuller does not take donations. Don't do that. And he will tell you that, and has, but he will tell you that. He has nothing to do with that. So do not send any monies or donations to Neely Fuller Jr. Do not do that. If you do, he would return it anyway, but don't do it. Save yourself a... Well, they still use postage stamps, Ed? I don't know. Oh, they do? Okay. Don't do that. Don't do it. Don't do it. But do this. get the book, The United Independent Compensatory Concept. You need to get that. Okay. Let me introduce to some and present to others Mr. Neely Fuller, Jr. And as always, Mr. Fuller, how are you this morning?
I'm still learning.
Okay. Now, did we cover everything that we need to do concerning the book?
Yes, sir. I think that's just about the gist of it.
Okay. And, oh, yes, one more thing. I was asked again, what is the progress on the book as far as people from overseas getting it? I had a couple of people ask about that, and I told them that I would have you address that again.
It's a real difficult process from what the information that I have received right now, because I'm a very, very small operation, and that's an impediment there, too. So we're trying to work it out. I have some people that are working on it, trying to get in contact with different people who can figure out how best to go about doing that. And when I get that information, and they don't anticipate getting it anytime soon, I just want to make that clear. But they say that it's much more difficult than they thought it would be. But they are working on it. And when that is worked out, that will be posted on my website.
Okay.
ProduceJustice.com.
ProduceJustice.com, okay. Before we go into this episode of today's program, what's been on your mind that you would like to start off the show and address?
Well, initially, I'd just like to say that some people have said that, that there are callers who are insulting Neely Fuller by the way that they talk to him and et cetera. Not all or not most. And I want to say that there's no way for that to happen. People are supposed to express their opinions. I believe that. And that's their opinions of me and my opinions of whatever I'm saying. And because it's all about trying to work out whatever the problems that face the victims of racism happen to be. And Neely Fuller makes mistakes, and I don't mind people pointing out my mistakes, and I don't mind people being what most people would consider to be discourteous, because there's no way to insult me. I've already been insulted by the white supremacists. I'm a prisoner of war. That's about the biggest insult that you can make. And I've been made a prisoner based on just my skin color, nothing else. They just, someone took a look at it a long time ago, long before I was born, and say anybody with a color like mine or anybody who has skin like mine is therefore condemned to be mistreated. That's just the way it is. So that's an insult even before I was born. So nothing that anybody can say can be insulting unless they're saying I'm deliberately saying something that's not true, and that's not an insult. That's revelations. So, and if I'm saying something that's not true, I definitely don't want to be in that category. So I just want the people who call in to say, okay, I have found out that something that you said isn't true, and I've done some research on it, and whatever it is, and I would like to straighten it out. I welcome that. We should all welcome that, because you cannot solve a problem, any kind of problem, in the correct way if you're not going to face the truth, regardless of where it may lead you, regardless of who gets hurt, because truth shouldn't hurt. Or if it does hurt, that pain has a reason. Pain serves a purpose. Sometimes the truth does hurt, but it's not about being hurt. It's about straightening out things that need to be straightened out. So this is all welcome. But whoever calls in, I wouldn't want them to deliberate just on, name calling and stuff like that. Let's just address just the issue that we're talking about.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I am very grateful that you brought that up, because I have received several emails or Gmails that spoke to or addressed what you just said, and they were offended. People were offended that people were speaking rude to you and all kind of things. And in fact, I didn't even read, some of them or most of them, especially over the air, but they were saying how they felt that you were disrespected. So I'm glad that you, Mr. Fuller, cleared that up. So now people can, go and do accordingly. Okay, let's see here. Let's go here. Okay, Mr. Fuller, some things have happened, obviously from last week to this week, and let's break open the show talking about the second Million Man March. And I have received several communications indicating that it wasn't broadcast, but if something had happened, it would have been broadcast. Over a million men again congregated in Washington, D.C., and just had talk. Even in Columbus, they had what we call barbershop talk, where we used to go to the barbershop and brothers would go around and speak about the different issues. What is your opinion about this, and why wasn't it broadcast over the mainstream media?
Well, the usual suspects are the white supremacists themselves. They didn't consider it important enough to broadcast, or maybe they didn't want it broadcast, so it wasn't. Things happen with non-white people based on what the white supremacists decide. We are under their jurisdiction. That's what white supremacy means. They do what they please. And so if they decide to broadcast something, it will be broadcast. If they decide that it won't be broadcast, it won't be broadcast. And if anybody gets mad about it, if somebody wants it broadcast and it's not, the white supremacist says, well, you can get mad, but you're still my prisoners of war. And I determine what you do and what you don't do. And that's the end of that story. Because after all, it's one bottom line here. You are not big enough, bad enough, or smart enough to whip me and make me do anything. And I can make you do anything that I want done, including die, and nobody will do anything about that. And so that's the bottom line on that. Mm-hmm. They made that decision. Now, the decision that a lot of black people made was that we're going to talk about it in the best way that we can. And like you said, if they were doing it in the barbershops or wherever, fine. Because that's what black people should be doing 24/7 when they're talking about anything, otherwise not talk at all. Mm-hmm. And that is anything that will be of constructive value in solving problems for black people. That's what every conversation should be about.
Constructive.
Yes. Every time a black person is talking to anybody, and you're listening, or anybody's listening, they should get something of constructive value out of it. That should be our new culture, because it's not our traditional culture under the system of white supremacy. I mean, just talking random talk, just talking just to be talking, is what we might call black people's traditional culture, truth be told, under the system of white supremacy.
Yes, sir.
See, the codes, the books that I've written, said that's what we need. We need a code of behavior that's new and different from what we have been doing, because we haven't been getting the results that we should be getting. So we can just start simply by doing that. We just don't just get together. That's a cliche that's kind of outworn by now. Let's just get together. When are black people going to get together? Well, what does that mean? That's just a slogan. That means nothing. We need to stop saying that. We're already, intermingling with each other every day. It's how we interact with each other every day, every minute of the day. That's what we look at. Just take that apart. Just the conversations that black people have in the office or in the warehouse or on the bus. Listen to some of the conversations that black people have sometimes just walking down the street on the cell phone. Mm-hmm. I mean, it'll burn your ears off, some of the things. And you ask yourself, is this constructive conversation? Is this conversation that's going to be, going to do something in people's minds where all kind of wonderful things are going to happen? Most of it is not, truth be told. I mean, on a bus, if somebody starts talking, you almost want to cover your ears.
That's true.
If it's black people talking, that's any bus, anywhere. Mm-hmm. It's a part of what we call black culture. We need a new culture. Culture is what? whatever you're doing at the time you're doing it. There's nothing mysterious about culture.
Nothing mysterious.
Right.
Okay. Talk Team It Radio is a 24/7 no-charge worldwide broadcast facility that have hosts delivering on various topics such as news, lifestyle, sports, health, wellness, religion, and politics. Here's one that I'd like to share with you. Julie Whitney Scott presents. The host, Julie Whitney Scott, presents the arts, theater, movies, festivals, and everything to do with entertainment, both near and far. Miss Julie will interview writers, directors, producers, musicians, and anyone and everyone connected to the entertainment world. She will keep you informed of what's going on in your local community theater world, as well as what high school plays you should go see and support. Now, she broadcasts on Thursdays here on Talktainment Radio, and she has a special segment called Women Speak. Listen, and women are really proactive. You got to tune into that. Tune in to Julie Whitney Scott Presents. Man, those women are going to be off the chain, so to speak. And that's heard exclusively here on TalkTeamItRadio.com, and that is radio the way it should be heard. You're listening to The Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. I am the co-host, Mr. Bobby, here on TalkTeamItRadio.com. And if you'd like to get in contact with the show, you may do so by calling 1-877-932-9766, or you can Gmail me at 7mrbobby@gmail.com, and we will try to get you on, but I doubt if we can get your question on via the Gmail, but we will certainly try. Mr. Fuller, let's go to the Gmails, and it says, Mr. Fuller, someone sent me a link to a webpage entitled The Church of Eclectic Pluralism. According to the code, is there such a thing?
Yes, eclectic pluralism is something that I just gave to a quote-unquote religion. Now, I want to explain something about what I mean by the word religion. Religion is anything that you think, say, and do, that you really believe in and do it. That's all any religion is. A strong belief backed up by action. That's what religion is. If anybody who claims that they have a religion and they're saying that they have a strong belief in a certain religion and they don't back that belief up with action according to what the religion requires them to do, then they don't have the religion. I've heard people say things like, down through the years, I'm a Catholic, but I don't practice it. Well, that's like saying you're a carpenter, but you don't fool with woodwork. I mean, or you're an airplane pilot, but you don't fly airplanes. It's a contradiction. How can you have a religion that you don't have? You have to practice your religion. Most religions have some type of outline, some type of rules, that you have to go by. So you practice whatever those rules and regulations or laws are of the religion. Otherwise, you don't really have the religion. Now, eclectic pluralism is for people, that's something I have in the textbook, people who can't make up their minds what their religion is or what it should be. All right? So that's why I came up with a compensatory religion, a belief that you can have. And that belief is find the true religion. That's all it means. But you go about doing it by sampling. Go to different churches, go to different mosques, synagogues, whatever. Listen to everybody who has a religion. And then make up your own mind. See, because most religions will tell you that religion doesn't work very well unless it's got volunteers. If you have to force people to be a part of your religion, then you got to stand over and watch them all the time.
Yes, sir.
See, a real religion, people do it on their own. So, therefore, I'm saying people who can't make up their minds what their religion is, eclectic pluralism is something that I'm saying that non-white people, black people, can adopt while they are trying to figure out what religion they will eventually belong to. Because a lot of people will say, I'm non-religious. Well, everybody's religious about something because everybody believes something and they back it up by action. But what you want to do is whatever you do, make it constructive.
Okay.
And then, so that's what that's about. But you can't organize eclectic pluralism. I would want to say that right now. It's a part of the compensatory code. It defeats the purpose of being compensatory if you try to organize it.
Compensatory meaning?
Making up for what's missing.
Making up for what's missing.
Yes,
okay.
So this is strictly tailored to the individual. Like everything in what I write is not tailored for organizations. You cannot form organizations out of United Independent Compensatory Code System concept. You already have thousands of organizations. Why not just join an organization that's already there or start a new one? But compensatory means you as an individual, you're walking around, you're with yourself all the time. You are an organization. So everything that I write in the textbook for victims of racism is addressed to the individual person. Once that person tries to organize with one or two other persons, you're defeating the purpose of the compensatory aspect, and you're wiping out the United Independent.
Okay. Well, yeah, you did say independent. Yeah. Okay. All righty. Okay, now the phone lines are now open, so you may call 1-877-932-9766 is the number that you can call to ask your questions now with Mr. Fuller. I'm looking at it, and the lines are open. If you call right now, I will get you on. 1-877-932-9766. Or, again, Gmail me at 7mrbobby@gmail.com. I cannot say for sure that will get on, but right now I'm looking at the phone lines, and they are open for you. Okay. All right. Yeah, I was asked to, that was one of our loyal listeners had written in and wanted me to ask that question. Quite a few from LaShonda down in Atlanta. Let me see here as I look through here, waiting on a phone call that comes in, because we did have a few, but we couldn't get to them. Brother Jamal asked a question. Let me see how I can write this. I'll rather give him the credit that he says here. Okay, before we get into it, he says, hello, Mr. Fuller. Okay, he spoke to, and you already addressed this, he spoke to another program which you were on. I guess it was a program a long time ago when you did them for other networks or other radio programs. Now, as I understand it, you do occasionally go on WOL out of Washington with the Kathy U show?
WOL, and also every now and then I have been on WPFW. I've been on various AM, FM radio stations.
Okay.
All down through the years.
Okay.
And I have been on various internet stations down through the years, but I don't do that anymore except on talktainmentradio.com.
And that's why we say exclusively. Yes.
Exclusively.
Okay.
Yes, right. I don't go, many people have called me and said that they wanted me to be on their internet programs. You can only find me officially on talktainmentradio.com.
Okay.
Until further notice.
Okay, now you heard it. Okay, let's go to the phone lines. Line number 1. You are now on with Mr. Neely Fuller, Jr. What is your question?
Yes, my question is, first, I try to convince people when we're talking about racism, white supremacy, and it's very difficult to get black folk to kind of, understand. It seems like they come to a point, and it's like they don't want to understand it. They don't want to know. My question for Mr. Fuller was that does he think it might be helpful to use the terminology that white people have a code and that, in fact, they're using their code, and actually their code can be seen. For example, if you look at like the, stand your ground laws, okay? If you're a black person and you apply the stand your ground law, someone attacks you, you go in front of a white judge, a white jury, a white prosecutor, you don't get the benefit of that law. The white person go in front of that same situation, they get the benefit of that law. So my question was, does he think that perhaps using description of white people have a code might be a little clearer for some black folk that don't seem to get it.
Sure. The codes are nothing but ways of going about doing things that work. That's why you have electrical codes, plumbing codes, fire codes, because people have said, hey, this plumbing is not up to code standard. Now, what does that mean? It means you're going to have problems with your plumbing because the plumbing, I mean, some of the pipes are not hooked up correctly or they're loose or something like that. And so someone will inspect the pipes. That's the whole purpose for having plumbing inspections. And they'll say, oh, I mean, the people are not going to get the hot water like they should. I mean, they'll get hot water every now and then because this whole system is not up to code specifications. And so we're going to have to do some rearranging here. I mean, the amount of pressure that is put on the amount of water that's going through and how much water is going to what apartment in a large apartment complex. And, you might have water that is always cold in one apartment and always too hot in another apartment. In fact, the cold water might be too hot because of the plumbing and the way it's arranged. I mean, and the way the water runs through the pipes and the amount of heat that is distributed. All that has to be calculated according to a code. And it's the same way with electrical systems, any other kind of systems that are successful in operation. Now, it's the same way with the white supremacist system, which they have worked out a code that's the most powerful political and religious system for mistreating people ever manufactured, ever made by people, by men and women. They have become the most powerful men and women in the known universe by codifying their mistreatment of non-white people. It's the most successful operation for mistreating people on a grand scale. And it's the most powerful operation according to their code. Things that they do, things that they don't do. That's all it is. Things that they say, things that they don't say. And when they put it all together, and each and every white person that wants to participate, and quite a few of them, by the millions, wanted to participate because there are benefits that go with it, and it is proven to be the most powerful code ever put up for manipulating people for the benefit of people who are classified as white. And so therefore, non-white people, black people, don't have anything similar to that. I mean, and the closest thing we have to any kind of code or any kind of culture really is just a bunch of slangs, for the most part. High-fiving and whatnot. Hey, man, what's up? Mm-hmm. That's about it. I mean, that's when you look at black people's code or behavior, it's ragged. It's just as ragged as it can be. The white supremacist code is precision. I mean, it is like a smooth-running train that makes no noise, except when you want it to make noise. I mean, going at bullet speed and very efficient and delivering goods and passengers. That's just the way, if I want to make an analogy of it. It's like a smooth-running train that makes no noise, except when they blow their whistle, get out of the way. All right? That's the white code. It is smooth. I mean, it is smooth, diamond smooth, glass smooth, all glass. And has, every now and then, they run into some glitches. Every now and then,
yes, sir,
they have a little wreck. All right? Mm-hmm. But they immediately investigate that and say, hey, we made some mistakes dealing with those black people last week.
Yes, sir.
So let's come up and fill that gap in this code.
All right, thank you for your call, caller. Talk to him at radio. Talk to him at radio.com. Check us out on WCRS-FM 98.3 Wednesday and Sunday evenings. Blogs and podcasts are available. Download Talk to him at radio.com app to your cell or tablet. We go where you go. Radio the way it should be heard. Stay right there. We have more of your calls, more Gmails, all that and much more coming up next on Talk to him at radio.com.
TalkTainmentRadio.com is the premier internet radio platform offering 40-plus talk radio-style programs professionally produced, optimized for online distribution, featuring Columbus, Ohio on-air personalities. TalkTainmentRadio.com offers listeners diverse programming options covering topics such as arts and culture, love, life and relationships, technology, religion, paranormal activities, local and national politics, women's issues, alongside health and wellness. Listeners can access their favorite TalkTainmentRadio.com programs free of cost through the website. Download the TTR app to your cell phone and you can take us wherever you go. We have programs on demand to fit your schedule through our podcast. The address is TalkTainmentRadio.com.
Hey guys, let's play some video games.
This new dad plays video games with his sons, but the challenge feels like he's lifting a metric ton.
So many buttons.
His avatar just stares at the walls, twists and turns and somehow falls.
Help me!
He's tangled up in the controller's cord.
I just don't understand this crazy digital world.
Crazy, crazy digital world. Heroes and worlds. But the love from his kids is totally apparent. Ooh. See, you don't have to be perfect to be the perfect parent.
You should have just played catch. You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of siblings in foster care will take you just as you are. For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Sorry, your call cannot be connected due to an emergency. Sorry, your call cannot be connected due to an emergency. Try reaching your family later. Sorry, your call cannot be connected due to an emergency. Try reaching your family later, or next time. Plan ahead.
Make sure you know where to find your family in an emergency. Visit nyc.gov/ReadyNY or call 311. Brought to you by the New York City Office of Emergency Management and the Ad Council.
I wish I was in school. I wish I was in school.
Summer isn't fun when you're hungry.
Give me a math quiz. I'll stay after class. I'll clean the chalkboard. I wish I was in school.
Hey, Dr. Phil here. You know, I help people solve difficult problems every day, but one problem has me stumped: childhood hunger. Nearly 16 million children in America struggle with it. Luckily, the Feeding America network of local food banks collects surplus food, giving hope to hungry children and their families. But they need your help. Join me in supporting Feeding America and your local food bank at feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
The odds of becoming a signed artist and having 4 #1 albums: 1 in 100 million. The odds of going on to win 7 Grammy Awards: 1 in 1.4 million. The odds of this performer having a child diagnosed with autism: 1 in 68. I'm Toni Braxton, and I encourage you to learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs. Autism Speaks. It's time to listen. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
Goodwill is a global social services enterprise and the leading nonprofit provider of job training programs and career services in the United States and Canada. To pay for its program, Goodwill sells donated clothes and other household items in more than 2,700 stores and online at shopgoodwill.com. Goodwill uses the revenue earned from these sales to fund job training, employment placement services, and other community programs. The goal of the campaign is to increase goods donations to Goodwill, inspire an emotional connection to the Goodwill brand, and to elevate preference for Goodwill.
The United Independent Compensatory Code System concept by Neely Fuller is considered as one of the substantial and basic books for understanding and effectively countering racism. Neely Fuller will turn upside down everything you've heard and everything you think you know about racism and how it works. Call area code 202-484-5461. 202-484-5461.
I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
Go ahead. Make my day.
I think I'm entitled. You want answers. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
You got the power.
Alrighty. TalkTainmentRadio.com, the world's greatest radio. That's radio the way it should be heard. This is your co-host, Mr. Bobby, And you're listening to the Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller, Jr., and we've been discussing a variety of things. We do have a call on hold, and if you would like to get your questions answered, you can. Just call 1-877-932-9766, and Mr. Fuller will be there to address your questions or your concerns, and that'll be good. Listen, you also want to get the book. It's called The United Independent Compensatory Code System Concept by Mr. Neely Fuller, Jr. It's a book that you need to get if you want it in your repertoire. You must get that because it will help you understand what's going on. Okay, let's go to the phone lines. Line number 2. Yeah, line number 2. You are now on with Mr. Neely Fuller, Jr. What is your question?
Good morning, Mr. Bobby.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Fuller.
Good morning.
I'm an old head with Mr. Fuller. He don't remember no more. We used to talk all the time. I'm out in California. My question, did I understand or overstand that you're coming out with a new book, Mr. Fuller?
Coming out with an expanded edition.
Okay.
If I can get it together. I mean, I've been trying to do it for several years now, particularly intensifying the effort for the last 5 years, and it should have been out by now. But I'm working on an expanded edition of the basic book based on a lot of the questions that people still had, like on this program, that they wanted answered, according to the compensatory concept view. Now, by compensatory concept, I actually mean, that making up for what's missing for the individual person. Everything in the textbook is designed for the individual person in his or her everyday comings and goings. What to say, what not to say. What to do, what not to do. On your job, or if you're looking for a job, or if you're out on the street and all like that, like you have a law enforcement confrontation. I've been saying it on this air, just 3 things that you don't do, because everything is either do or don't do. Everything that people do all day long is either do or don't do, say or don't say. And so I have a book out that's kind of updating this. And these 3 things, well, they may or may not be in it. It depends on what's going on, generally speaking. But I've been saying on this air about the law enforcement confrontations, and people keep doing it, and I'm saying you're not going to get the results that you want. 3 things you don't do. You don't fuss, you don't fight, and you don't flee. Why? It doesn't work. That's why. Codification is about doing things that work.
Yes, sir. Okay. Thank you, caller, for your insight and your call, and keep listening. Thank you. Okay, let's go to line number 3. Number 3, you are now with Mr. Neely Fuller, Jr. What is your question?
Yes, good morning. This is Tariq from the Bronx.
Yes.
Yes, I heard Mr. Fuller mentioning the Million Man March earlier, and I was one of those who participated and went down to D.C. to the Million Man March. And for the most part, I've seen a lot of people who were very conscious of the problems that we're facing and were very key on a lot of solutions. But a majority of people there had this mystifying idea of justice. They didn't know how to define it. They didn't know what it is, but everybody insisted that we have it. And justice really isn't that complex of an idea. Actually, there was one white person who was interviewed for a media session. Mm-hmm. You can see that on the Side Meadow Studios on YouTube. And he said the idea of justice, everyone should have it. And then when asked what is justice, he said, well, it's complex, and I don't really know what it is. Mm-hmm. So it's crazy that a person will say we need something, but they can't define it. Mm-hmm. And I think everyone should really listen to what Mr. Fuller says, because there's no legal term for it, but his term is the best term that I've ever heard in my entire life. And I'm only 23, but still. His concept of justice, guaranteeing that no person is mistreated and guaranteeing that the person that needs help the most gets the most constructive help. To me, that's justice.
Okay.
And
so your question for Mr. Fuller would be, does
he think, seeing as how the white supremacists didn't televise the march, and I, being one of the people participated, seeing that it was very positive overall, there were a lot of positive thinking and a lot of brother and sisterhood. Do you see, Mr. Fuller, black people starting to wake up to change the system of white supremacy, or do you see us being in this rut for another 50 to 100 or plus years?
Okay. Mr. Fuller?
Well, for one thing, we don't call it what it is. We call it by all kind of names: discrimination, bigotry. We say that, this and that and the other and whatnot. We're all over the place. We say the main problem, and you can't solve any problem without solving this problem, is the system of white supremacy. You put that in capital letters. We always say the system. See, that's like saying justice and not giving it a definition.
Yes, sir.
See, we keep calling words. We throw words out here about a bucket's full, and the words don't have definitions. So we come away from marches and demonstrations. We come away from meetings, and we don't. We're baffled. Why wasn't the meeting successful? So they say, well, the meeting was successful because there was a lot of people there. Say, wait a minute. Is that what makes a meeting successful? What did you have the meeting for? Well, we had the meeting for, black people coming together and solving black people's problems. Okay, well, did you at that meeting solve black people's problems? Well, it was a lot of people there, and we said a lot of things, and we keep doing that over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. And just like the gentleman just finished saying, using words without definitions so that you can get a grasp on what you're talking about. I mean, if you say broom, you got an idea of what you're talking about. That's something that you use to sweep a floor with. But if you say justice, we want justice, we want justice, we want justice. And some white supremacists will say, okay, here it is in this box. Because that's what they told some people in Africa who had never been to any kind of school, and they heard about a thing called independence in the 1960s. I think several magazines published articles where people were kind of chuckling about it, but it wasn't a laughing matter.
No.
But they told people, they say, on this particular day, here in what had been the Belgian Congo, you are going to get your independence. Some black people in Africa lined up thinking that it was going to be in a box. You line up and get your box with your name on it.
Yes, sir.
And you take it home, back to your hut, back to your village. And you got a box that's got the word independence on the outside of the box. And so when you open the box, eureka, you have your independence because your independence is in that box.
That's not funny.
That's not funny. But people actually did that. They lined up thinking, and when they were just forming lines saying, where's the place where we supposed to get our independence? Nobody explained to them.
Nobody explained.
Right. Yeah. Words have meanings. If you don't know the meaning of a word that somebody gives to you, like I put in the textbook for victims of racism, first order of business, hey, it's question time right now.
Yes. Thank you, Brother Tyreek from the Bronx, for your question there. Let's see. TalkTainmentRadio.com, the world's greatest radio. That's radio the way it should be heard. You are listening to the Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller, Jr., and I am the co-host, Mr. Bobby. And we've been discussing various topics, the Million Man March, and just all kind of things. Mr. Fuller has given his opinion on a lot of things. And if you'd like to get in contact with the show, you may do so by calling 1-877-932-9766, or you can Gmail me at 7mrbobby@gmail.com. And before we go to the next caller, listen, Talktainment Radio and Your Time to Travel with Perrine Hill and Ricky Tyus will host a event which will be held here in Columbus at the Airport Embassy Suite Hotel here in Columbus, Ohio. And it's going to be fantastic. I think, Ed, you can get to, for more information, is it TyusTours.com? You can go to TyusTours.com, and I'm talking about travel, vacations, cruising, and all that kind of stuff at a pretty reasonable price. They have it all there. So even if you're not in the Columbus area, Columbus, Ohio area, you can still get online and see what they have to offer. And, man, it's going to be something for 16 and for 2017, I think the tours are. That's TyusTours.com. Okay, let's go to the phone lines. Line number 1, you are now on with Mr. Neely Fuller, Jr. What is your question?
Yes, good morning, Mr. Bobby and Mr. Fuller.
Yes, sir.
My question is, yesterday I was watching the presidential debate, and one of the candidates stated that they were trying to, and I guess he was a governor at the time, and he was saying like how he was trying to achieve peace in poverty-stricken neighborhoods. So I wanted to ask Mr. Fuller, is there such thing as peace? In other words, can peace and poverty coexist? Is there such thing as that, Mr. Fuller?
Okay,
There's no such thing as peace. Nowhere on this planet. You cannot have peace without three things: truth, justice, and correctness.
Woo!
That's what I have in the textbook. That's already been printed. Truth plus justice plus correctness, theoretically, would equal a thing called peace. No one has ever experienced peace.
Ever.
Ever. Because you have never had those three things in combination in recorded history.
Wow.
Now, maybe before recorded history you had it. But, I mean, all the records show that people did not tell the truth. People were lying.
Yes.
All right?
Yes.
Or just out of ignorance, they weren't telling the truth. They thought that something was true, but it wasn't. Okay? And they didn't have justice, which means, according to what I have written, guaranteeing that no person is mistreated. Now, have you ever seen a situation where no person was being mistreated?
No.
I haven't. Haven't heard of one either. All right? And that the person that needed help the most got the most constructive help. All right? That's the two elements of justice. I had to make up a definition for it because there is no definition that I would accept or that made sense to me, so I made up a compensatory definition. And I think that will hold up until a better one comes along, and I got no problem about taking the better one.
Yeah, really.
But so far, I'm going to stick with this compensatory definition, okay? Guaranteeing that the person that needs help the most gets the most constructive help. I look around me all the time. I see people who need help not getting it. So how are you going to have peace? Correctness means, that's the third element, you're in tune with the elements around you. You know, you don't have all these diseases and whatnot. You got to get that cleared up if you're going to have peace. How are you going to have peace and you're walking around here with Ebola? Or you're loaded with HIV.
Which are created diseases, by the way.
Yes, and they are coming up with more. The white supremacists are burning midnight oil, coming up with every kind of disease you can name, and probably got them on the shelf. Some that they manufactured 50 years ago.
Yes.
That they're going to spread all over Africa or wherever there's dark-skinned people anytime they get ready, which they can do. And people won't know what hit them.
Yes, sir.
And then they'll come. Here's another thing they do, see, because they deal in falsehood. Then they come to your aid. After they give you AIDS, then they come around saying, oh, you got this mysterious disease on account of your behavior, okay? And so I'm going to come around and examine it and see what it is and all like that. Now, meanwhile, while they're doing this examining and seeing what's devastating the people all over these villages and whatnot, they're grabbing everything in sight that's worth anything, like all the oil and tin.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. All right. Thank you for your call, caller. And for our listeners, if Mr. Fuller and I usually do not talk. We like the show to be off the cuff. But he is absolutely correct in what he just said. I have done some research, and I'm still doing the research, but I found out that there was a secret virus program headed by, I believe it was Dr. Robert Gallo, who was a producer of AIDS, by the way, a genetically created disease, and also he didn't create Ebola, but it's in the same thing. A secret virus program from this country. Wow. And just as he said, they go along and they do this stuff. We're not making this stuff up. This really happens. And then I found out that Dr. Sebi, S-E-B-I, found a cure or has a cure for every kind of disease that you could have. Every kind of disease you could have on this earth, Dr. Sebi has it because the creator of the universe put it here. You can find the last half of that in Revelation 22:2, where the herbs and the trees are for the healing of the nations. It says it right there in the Bible, for those of you who believe that, and it's true. But anyway, Dr. Fuller, thank you for making that plain. And I didn't ask you to say that. We didn't rehearse it. You just said it because it's true. Excuse me. I just kind of went off on that. You didn't call to hear me anyway. Okay, what line are we on, Ed? Line number 2? Okay, line number 2, you are now on with Mr. Neely Fuller, Jr. What is your question?
My question is as follows. First, a little background. In Michigan, particularly Wayne County, and particularly Detroit, there's an auction coming up, and many homes that are occupied by Detroiters are going to be auctioned off.
What?
Oh, yeah. This is maybe the second time around. Thousands of homes are being auctioned off. Now, for so-called tax foreclosures and water shutoffs, but that's a whole nother conversation.
Yes, ma'am.
I've gone to a few of these protests in front of the tax foreclosure, the tax offices downtown Detroit, and my observation has been most of these protests are predominantly populated by non-black people, white people.
Okay.
Are leading these protests. And I was asked by somebody, and I was questioning myself, why aren't black people protesting the foreclosures of their homes? Black folks are mostly impacted by these foreclosures. And I don't know, I was wondering if maybe Mr. Fuller could shed some light on that. That's one question.
Well, wait a minute. Let him answer that one first, and then we'll get your second one. Mr. Fuller?
Well, they probably, don't know who to protest to. Who do you go to? What is set up? I mean, what person do you talk to? Do you just walk out and shout in the middle of the street, they're taking my house? I mean, so people passing by will just say, well, yeah, I mean, I guess they are. So it's just a matter of people being alert for things that are going to happen before they happen. And black people all over the world should always look, according to what I've written and what I've been saying for years. A lady, I was in Columbus, Ohio. I just like to give an illustration right quick. Some years ago, and a lady was talking about, they're talking about, regentrifying or something. I mean, my neighborhood, and so I was sitting there at a table, breakfast table there, and she said, "This is a very nice neighborhood, and I like my house, and I don't want to move, but I hear a lot of rumors about us having to move." And so she said, "What does your code say about that, Mr. Fuller?" And so I said, "Oh, prepare to move." And she said, "Are you kidding?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "That's one thing that the white supremacists have to do. And they do it periodically. They make people move in large numbers all over the world, all the time. You just don't hear about it. But they have mass migrations all the time. They call it immigration, being immigrants and all like that. It's called, I gave a term to it, a compensatory term, racial dislocation. And that's one of their major things that they have to do. They have to make people move periodically. Just about time you get your place paid for and you get it set up, here they come. And they say eminent domain, or they'll say some other fancy words, and it means you got to get out of here by next year at such and such a time. In other words, that old saying back in old Western movies, they call them, cowboy movies, keep them squatters moving. The movie Shane was kind of based on that. They used to do it with white people. That's why they, a lot of things they do with black people, they've done it among themselves. See, so they're well rehearsed.
Okay.
So they already know that you're going to have to move even when you're building your house. They'll say, we're going to let them stay there just about time they get it paid for. Then we're going to come up with a whole bunch of laws and rezoning and all like that. And we're going to start them all out. They're going to have to start all over again.
Yeah, eminent domain. What's your second question, caller?
I wanted to know where people can buy Mr. Fuller's book, and to be more honest, I wanted to encourage you to remind people, Mr. Bobby, where people can get Mr. Fuller's book.
I think we've done it twice, but we'll let him do it again for the third time. Go ahead, Mr. Fuller.
ProduceJustice.com. Is that what she asked?
Yes, she wanted to know and wanted to remind listeners where they can get your book.
Yes, ProduceJustice.com. Don't try to get it somewhere else. I mean, just go right to that website. Maybe Amazon, because sometimes the website directs you through there. But go to ProduceJustice.com, and that will they'll give give you all the information you need for ordering.
Okay, wait a minute. So we can be clear. If when they go, because I already have my copy, but I did not have to go to Amazon. So what was that a bit about Amazon?
Oh, well, the people who set that up for me, they said that, there is an Amazon connection. Maybe. It depends on which way it goes.
Okay.
Or something like that. I don't have the details on that. But I'm recommending go to producejustice.com.
Okay.
That's my recommendation. Straight to that.
And then there is an additional word guide?
Yes, it's 2 books. It's just 2 books at that website. It's not an elaborate website. It's mostly a billboard, really, just for telling people how to get the 2 books. One book is an addition to the other book. The basic book has a computer design on it. The other book doesn't.
Yes, I'm looking at it. And what is
it has a colorful border, black, brown, red, and yellow. I mean, symbolizing the non-white people of the known universe.
And what does the word guide do?
The word guide tells you how to use words, how not to use words, and more than anything, questions to ask when other people use words. Like the word that any word that somebody uses, like the person said it was at the march the other day, and somebody said justice. Always, even if you have your own idea of what the word may mean, ask the person who is using the word, because it may be a different definition that they are using altogether from what you think that they are saying. You want to know what the person is saying. Otherwise, you have what? The one thing that you don't want any more of, confusion.
Confusion, yes.
The white supremacists are masters of confusion, and they are the masters of words. So you have to watch all the words that they use. Like they take the word justice and use it to mean the same thing as the word fair. The 2 words don't sound anything alike. But they'll say fair play, and then they'll say treat me fairly. Treat me with justice. They'll say that in the same sentence.
Yes, sir.
As if the 2 mean the same thing.
Yes, sir.
Fair means white. So what they are doing, they're associating being white with being just.
With being just.
See what I mean?
Yes, sir. One of the questions that came up in some of my meetings this week or past week was concerning the boycott. I believe it was coming up Black Friday, Christmas, and of course then we were to boycott BET because BET did not show the Million Man March. Are boycotts effective, or what is that?
Well, I don't believe in boycotts as such, because here again, that's another word. It means different things to different people.
Okay.
If I'm boycotting something, if I'm boycotting one store and then I go to the other store across the street, sometimes the white supremacists kind of laugh at that, because they'll say, hey, I run both stores. It's just got different names.
Yeah, we're going to get the money anyway.
Yeah, we're going to get the money anyway. So what are you doing? I mean, you're just playing games, but that's all right. I'll play with you because I benefit from it all, So, but you can tailor what you do in such a way that you say, well, that particular store is not hiring people that should be hired because they're right here in the neighborhood, but they hire people from somewhere else. And so, therefore, till they hire somebody who's right down the street, so I don't have to, try to go somewhere else to get a job. And I can just walk to work. They should hire me where I can walk to work.
Yes, sir.
See, so you might say that I'm not going to buy your products. You want me to buy your products, but you won't hire me, put me behind the counter. So, and so you do it that way. But the white supremacists just about put a niche in that. You have to consider all of that. By doing what? By not having any services in your neighborhood at all. See what I mean?
Yes, sir. Okay, well, I guess it's about that time, huh? Okay, it's about that time. Listen, thank you, callers, for calling. You have really made the show. Thank you, Mr. Fuller. You have addressed what we needed to address today, and hopefully we will do better the next time.
Better next time.
That's right. TalkStatementRadio.com, the world's greatest radio. That is radio the way it should be heard. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening to the Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller, heard exclusively on TalkStatementRadio.com, the world's greatest radio.
The most important question in all racial matters is why. One should always ask it.
Radio, the way it should be heard. You've got the power. The world's greatest radio. TalkTainmentRadio.com.